see Broadway's brightest live? Why spend Thursday nights drunk in a dive? They're friends with Rye, and he's a Broadway guy. He's your Broadway and entertainment BFF. It's Live with Rye and Friends on Broadway. Where can you see Broadway's brightest live? Why spend Thursday nights drunk in a dive? They're friends with Rye, and he's a Broadway guy. He's your Broadway and entertainment BFF. It's Live with Rye and Friends on Broadway. He's a bundle of joy and happiness. He loves being here for you. He's a theater nerd who will share a word with a Broadway star or two. Our guests will have you on the floor like Orphe.
Everyone, hi there. Welcome to Live with Rye and Friends on Broadway. I'm Rye Myers, your host. This is the free Broadway talk show here in the heart of Midtown. How's everyone doing? It's so great to see everyone. You guys can sit down if you want. You don't have to. You totally don't have to stand if you want. There's tons of room. Welcome. So happy to see all of you. I just want to give a little shout out to the theme song that was written by Jay Brancato, composed by Jeffrey Schmelkin, and sung by the incredible Alyssa Ray from American Idol Top 9 Season 20. So thank you to that. And I have to give a round of applause and thanks to our sponsors tonight. Our main sponsor is Broadway Records. So give a round of applause for Broadway Records. They gave us Annalise's album here, which will be given away. And our other sponsor is the incredible Mr. Saturday Night. Hello, Mr. Saturday Night. I have tickets to give away for that. And a little thing to read from Mr. Saturday Night. Tonight's show is sponsored by Mr. Saturday Night on Broadway. Billy Crystal is back on Broadway starring as Buddy Young Jr., an outrageous and outspoken comedian who found fame in the early days of television. Now, some 40 years later, he hits the top, and Buddy will take one less shot at reclaiming the spotlight and his family. One hilarious step at a time, Mr. Saturday Night is the brand new musical comedy about being a funny man, a family man, and getting a second chance at both. Written by Tony Award nominees Billy Crystal, Lowell Gans, and Babaloo Mandel, based on an original concept by Billy Crystal, Mr. Saturday Night features music by three-time Tony Award winner Jason Robert Brown, lyrics by Amanda Green, choreography by Eleanor Scott, she's quite busy this season, also choreographer for Funny Girl, and direction by John Rando. Mr. Saturday Night is nominated for 5 Tony Awards. We'll be excited to see next week, including Best Musical and Best Actor Billy Crystal. Maybe they'll sweep. That would be awesome if they win. Come witness what NBC TV is calling the must-see of the season and what Variety claims is the funniest Broadway show in years by visiting Mr. Saturday Night on Broadway. Thank you again to Mr. Saturday Night. Thank you. Yes. And for those of you who might be around next week, Broadway Makers Marketplace is doing their own Tony Awards viewing party here. Something very special. Not only do I have special guest Fergie Philippe, who's currently in Hamilton, but you can come on out, watch the Tony Awards viewing party. Follow on Instagram, right, to learn more. Instagram, Broadway Makers Marketplace. There's a little fee, but different tier pricing. You get goodie bags, there's food, and we're going to watch the show down here. There's going to be live performances. We have some Broadway people coming. It's really great. And so at this point of the show, I do some Broadway news, talk about some things that happened this week. I don't know if you all saw, did you see Almost Famous announce that it's coming to Broadway? Yeah. Did anyone see it out of town? Did anyone get a chance to see it? Has anyone seen the movie? Yes. Well, so it was announced this week, and it's coming back with most of the cast that was out of town. That includes Anika Larson, Soleil Pfeiffer, and Drew Gilling. I'm hearing, the rumor is that supposedly it might be going to the Longacre Theater. That's what I've been hearing through the grapevine, but then somebody has also said the Barrymore as well, even though Paradise Square is there. But we'll see what happens. But one of those two theaters, tickets are on sale now. It's only showing mezzanine and orchestra, but something tells me it could go to the Longacre. And tonight we welcome Sister Act to the Paper Mill Playhouse. They open tonight. I won't be there. I'm usually at every opening night, but I'm here tonight. But I'll be there on Wednesday. So if you all go to Paper Mill Playhouse or you ever have the chance to, definitely go. I recommend it. This show was supposed to happen like all shows in 2020, and it got pushed back. So I'm thrilled that it's finally happening. And finally, Jen Colella, Tony nominated for her role as Beverly Bass in Come From Away, is returning to that role on June 21st through August 7th. I am so excited. For those of you that know or don't know, Come From Away is one of my favorite musicals of all time, or at least of this current, I'd say, decade. I've seen it probably 10 times, so I'm so excited for her to be back. And now I'm so excited to welcome my very special guest, the reason why you all are here. She is somebody that you have seen on Broadway. She's done numerous credits from A Christmas Story, Matilda, and most recently Mrs. Doubtfire. We're here talking about her album today, Pathetic Little Dreamer. Please help me welcome the incredible, the one, the only, Analise Scarpaci.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Analise.
Hi.
You've got quite the fan base on you today.
I do. I'm so surprised. Hello.
You have family and show family.
I have show family and regular family.
Such the
Hi, Mom.
Such the support system. I know you have such wonderful parents. You really do. They're
I
wonderful.
do. And my grandparents are watching. Hi, Grandma and Pop.
Oh, hello to your grandparents. Well, thank you for doing this. I'm glad we were able to make this work.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, me and Annalise were supposed to do this in April, and there were some scheduling issues, so I'm glad it worked out. So where did your journey of performing begin? When did it begin? Was it something that you caught as an early child? Did it happen later in life?
It's my parents' fault.
It's always the parents.
It's always their fault. I have been singing since before I could even talk. I would always watch movie musicals when I was little, Grease, Annie. There are videos of me attempting to sing We Go Together, but singing Rama Lama Lama, Kadingity Ding Ding when I was 2 years old. But I was actually a dancer first and foremost. I did ballet from when I was 2.5 until forever.
Was it beautiful? Everything's always beautiful at the ballet.
Truly, everything is beautiful at the ballet.
I have to make the reference every time anyone says anything
I love
about
it.
ballet.
But when I was 5 years old, I started taking acting classes because I wanted to improve my acting when I danced. And then I did some musicals, but I saw Billy Elliot on Broadway, and that kind of knocked the ballet out of me. And I said, what is that? I want to do that for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you remember who you saw in Billy Elliot?
I saw Trent.
Oh, that's awesome. Trent, what's the last name?
Koala.
Okay. So you got after seeing that, you're like, I want to do this, and
Yes.
this is what I'm meant to do. And so you performed all through school, you did the acting school. Now,
Yes.
after you saw that, you wanted to do it, you ended up ending on Broadway, I'm sure, shortly after. So what was the journey that brought you to your first Broadway audition and then to your first show in A Christmas Story?
Well, it started with Billy Elliot because I looked in the playbill and I found a manager, and I turned to my mom and my dad and I said, let's do this. I want to send my picture. And
Smart girl.
I was 10. I was 10 years old.
Smart.
And we sent my headshot and resume through snail mail, which children, do you even know what that is? I don't even know. But we sent it through snail mail. And to our surprise, she called us in for a meeting. And the next day I had my very first audition for Billy Elliot, and which did not go as planned. I actually, audition stories. My very first audition, I was having a little bit of a nervous energy, and I went in the room, and I was not a tapper. I was just a ballet dancer, and I went in and I had an anxiety attack in the room in front of the entire team. And I ran out of the room in hysterics, and it was crazy, but 4 years later, the same team cast me in Matilda.
Wow. Well, and you know what? I think it also just goes to show you too that, we all have our own audition stories, and you learn from each one.
100%.
At the time, I'm sure it probably felt devastating, but as you said, look, 4 years later, that same team cast you, and
It was.
I'm sure the next time you then went after that first time, it probably only felt a little bit better.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, after that first audition, I decided I think I should learn how to tap if I want to be in this show. And now tap is my favorite dance style ever.
Oh, wow.
So it really changed me as a performer, really.
What do you like specifically about tap? Is there something that makes it your favorite?
Well, a friend of mine, when I was in A Christmas Story, his name is Luke Spring. Please look him up. He's one of the most talented tap dancers you'll ever see. He was on the Ellen Show when he was like 6 years old, I think. And his mom always used to say, oh, he just moves his feet. Meanwhile, this kid literally at 9 years old was just like literally moving his feet just in thousands of different directions. And that's why I love to tap, because you're just moving your feet.
Wow.
And you're making rhythms with your feet. It's just the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, I'm enamored by those who can tap. I mean, really, I any show I see that has a tap dance number in it, I don't know how anyone does it, really. So then how did Christmas Story come about?
Christmas Story came about, I was constantly auditioning for, numerous amounts of shows, whether it was Annie or Mary Poppins or People in the Picture, and I would make it down all the way to the end, or I wouldn't, depends on the show, but, it was always, I was struggling.
Yeah.
And I was turning 13, I was in the 7th grade, and one day I was with my mom at dance class, and I knew that they were having an open call for A Christmas Story, and I don't know, I just had a feeling, and I asked her, I said, Mom, is my book in the car? She was like, yeah, why? And I was like, I think I'm gonna go in for A Christmas Story. Meanwhile, the open call had been happening the whole day. I went in the car, we got my book, we bought a pair of Converse sneakers, which I still have, they're in my room. I called them my lucky shoes, and I went in dance clothes from tap class, went to the open call at Pearl Studios, was the last person to audition for A Christmas Story, and the casting director came out and said, can I meet your mom? I was like, yeah, okay. And she met my mom the whole week. For 2 weeks, I went in for callback after callback after callback, and then they called and said I got the part.
That is so exciting. And Mom and Dad, how did you feel about her getting into the biz? Were you guys excited or?
Yes.
So I'm sure very proud. But that is awesome.
They've been with me every single step of the way.
Well, having supportive parents is very important. That's
Extremely.
exciting. Did anyone get a chance to see, aside from Mom and Dad, did anyone get a chance to see A Christmas Story when it was here?
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I wasn't seeing, unfortunately, I was not seeing shows at the time, but I heard it was incredible. And it's even to this day, they're still touring.
It's crazy. I mean, it's so weird because, and now, so when I was in Doubtfire, one of our Christophers, Tyler Laudis, was Randy in A Christmas Story Live. And when he was cast, so we had a big party to watch A Christmas Story Live, all the original cast members, and we all went to this hotel and we watched it. And I remember Tyler when he was like, I don't know how old he was, but he was very, very small. And now he's 12 and he played my brother. It's so crazy.
That is so crazy. And what do you remember about your Broadway debut? I mean, that must have been so thrilling to be your age and be on Broadway, to have that experience. I mean, and also, I'm sure also very demanding, but what, for those of us who have never been on a Broadway stage and probably will never, don't have that experience, what was that like to have your first, your Broadway debut and at such a young age, but also just be there under those lights?
Yeah, I always say that A Christmas Story was the perfect Broadway debut.
Yeah.
It was just so magical, just being there during the holidays. I mean, Christmas in New York is just so special. And when you're 12, turning 13, I mean, we had just experienced Hurricane Sandy. And specifically, Staten Island, where I'm from, got hit very hard. And Hurricane Sandy was actually my 13th birthday.
Oh.
So I'll never forget that. It's just something that I'll never forget, just as a whole, of how everybody, the Broadway community really came together.
Yeah, they did.
And, it was like a day off or something, and we were supposed to start tech on that day. And then it was the first time that my parents and I decided to take the Lincoln Tunnel through Jersey. And we were like, why did we never do this before? It's so much faster to get from my house through Jersey to get here. But yeah, it was really something so special during that time.
Well,
Good times.
it's good you remember sort of those memories. It's a shame that Sandy was your birthday, but that you remember sort of those good times.
It was really, something that I'll never forget. And the people, it's always the people.
It is.
Because everybody from A Christmas Story, I speak to most of them every day.
Wow, that's amazing. It's important, and connections and relationships are very important.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit, your first Broadway show you saw was Billy Elliot, right?
The first I saw,
First you saw,
the first I saw ever was Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, Beauty and the Beast, okay, sorry.
With Nick Jonas, I must add.
Okay, so sorry, so Beauty and the Beast was the first one you ever saw with Nick Jonas,
Yes.
okay. Audience, what was some of your first Broadway shows? Anyone remember? What was your first one?
Music Man.
Music Man, so just recently. Did you like it? Amazing. Anyone else? What did you see recently? Or what was your first Broadway show?
First Broadway show, I was probably 3 years old or something. It was The Lion King.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that must have been amazing. Such a good show to see at 3 years old. You liked it? Yeah. How about over here? First Broadway show? Bantam.
Really?
Oh.
No, I went a chorus line when I was 13.
You saw a chorus line?
Yes.
Dad, I didn't know this.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
And did you enjoy it?
Very much.
Wow, I didn't know. That's awesome.
You learn something new every day. I had no idea.
Yeah, I would. Interesting course line. I would not have expected it to say that.
I saw the original Broadway cast of Wicked. That was my first.
No
I was like
way.
in my 20s.
Oh my gosh. Okay, those are like some of those things are stuff such like that, like seeing the original Broadway cast like that. Oh, if you go back in time, there are some casts that you wish you could just like see, and that is one particularly that I, you know. So, all right. Well, listen. Let's do a trivia question while we're here.
Okay.
We have any? Do we want to do it online?
Yeah, we'll do the online.
All right. So we'll do one online and we'll do one in person. Let's do one here in person first, and we have some people watching online. So those at home, get ready because we do have some trivia questions prepared for you here. As for those here, this is the first question. This was going to be for a copy of Annalise's CD, "Pathetic Little Dreamer," which is incredible. As I said, I told her today I spent all day listening to it, and we'll get to it in a sec. So this is the question, and raise your hand if you can. If not, if you call it out, that's fine, but I want to make it as fair as possible. So for those of you here, what musical will star Ben Platt and Michaela Diamond at New York City Center this fall from November 1st through November 6th? Parade! It's Parade! Here you go, yes! Here you are. Congratulations!
Enjoy the album.
Enjoy the album. We have plenty more coming, so don't worry. For those at home, we have a trivia question as well. So I believe that trivia question we're going to do is, for those watching at home, I guess whoever types it in first will guesses it correctly, look at the prize, and just send me a message or send Broadway Makers a message so we can get you the prize. Then that'll be from here, from the Broadway Makers Marketplace, right? One of the prizes. So the question for at home is, what is the longest running American Broadway musical? So audience, don't say anything here, but what is the longest running American Broadway musical? Oh, it's not what people think, and that's the funny thing that when I saw this at first.
I know the longest revival.
Yeah, did anyone guess it?
Mr. Roy Rod said Chicago.
Chicago, yes it was.
I was right.
Chicago. So make sure you listen, send us a message, send me a message or send Broadway Makers a message and we'll get you a prize. Congratulations.
Woo!
You know what's funny about that? It's the longest running American musical. When I saw that, because it says it, or it did for a while outside of the theater, it said the longest running American musical. I was on Facebook, said, this is false advertising. Kind of the longest running musical.
It's
My
not
friend
American.
was like, read the description, American. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So yes, it's American. And people often get tripped up. They say, I'm a fan. So amazing. Well, great. We'll do some more trivia shortly.
Cool.
So on the topic of your album, Pathetic Little Dreamer.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, this is. First off, I love the photo. I love this cover photo so much.
Thank you.
Where did the inspiration come from for Pathetic Little Dreamer?
Oh boy. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it was kind of like, it was during the pandemic. I wrote all these songs during the pandemic. There are 7 of them. There are like 30 more in a notebook in my house. But it kind of just, it was just the pandemic, really. And it was how the pandemic was making me feel. Broadway had shut down. The world had shut down. And I was on the beach with my parents, enjoying a lovely vacation in my favorite place in the world. And it was actually, the song itself was written 3 different times.
Really?
There are 3 different versions of this song. There's one that's on ukulele, that's one that's like a ballad, and then there's the one that eventually is on the EP. And I feel like the one that was on the EP definitely stood out to me the most because I didn't want it to be sad. Because I look at myself in the mirror a lot of times and I'm like, oh, you're so pathetic. It's ridiculous. And I am a daydreamer. I dream a lot.
I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
why the name Pathetic Little Dreamer? It's okay to dream.
Well, little, I'm really short. And
Well, that's a good thing.
dreamer is, I daydream all the time.
Right.
And I think of I like to tell stories and I dream about a lot of things. And, sometimes I could be a little pathetic. I mean, I'm 22 years old and,
Which, by the way, not to get off topic, I said this to you earlier, I could not believe you were 22. I thought you were so much younger. You look, it's incredible to look young, to be little, because I thought you were so much younger. I couldn't believe that you just graduated college. So
I can't believe it either, to be honest.
So you recorded this during quarantine then, during the pandemic?
Yeah, it was all recorded in my room, in my childhood playroom.
Now, you obviously this is through Broadway Records, so
Yes.
did you have to do online Zoom sessions with them to record it? Was it you recording it and sending it off to them? I always find it so interesting, these people who have recorded albums in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, everything as it was so virtual. We were all doing Zooms, but to record an album, I mean.
It was crazy. I mean, I have my producer, Michael J. Moritz Jr. to thank. He pretty much arranged everything. And he was the one who, he mixed everything, he did all of that stuff, he got the musicians. We recorded the music first, the band recorded everything first, and then I took a listen, and I was very emotional because it's so weird to actually hear stuff that you thought of in your head and actually played by real musicians. I'll never forget hearing Seventh Stage of Grief for the first time, the guitar solos, because I'm not an electric guitar gal. I play acoustic, and I was like, I need electric guitar on this song or it's not gonna work. So I couldn't believe it, and then I did, I recorded my voice and I recorded all the background vocals myself, and Michael took it from there. And then they sent it to Broadway Records, and Broadway Records did their thing, and they distributed it everywhere.
Wow. It's incredible. And I was saying to you earlier, this album is unlike anything I have ever heard. If you haven't listened to it, please go listen to it. It's beautifully done, and as I'm saying to you, it's the music and the way that it's written is not something you hear every day, which I like because it was not, I feel like today there's so many singers that it's the same sort of music feel, it's the same sort of sound, and this wasn't. In fact, I forget what song it was, but I said to you, it almost felt like it was this 80s sort of pop feel, and I loved it. As I said, I had the album going all day today, and it's beautiful that you've come up with something so different, so unique. And with that, you are performing today for us, so why don't we give the audience a little taste of what you're going to be performing and your song, and tell us what you're singing.
This is End of the Day. I wrote this, should I get that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote this song, this was actually the first song that I wrote for the album, before I even knew it was going to be an album. At the time I was, 20? I was 20, I just turned 20, and I was in my house wondering what was going to happen with the world. And I thought about a time where I was in college. And the rest is pretty much self-explanatory. But, yeah, let me fix this.
Take it away whenever you're ready.
All right.
Get adjusted, and you all are in for a real treat.
Let me get my friend over here. Be good. Yeah. Should be okay. Did you hear me okay? Yeah. Let's try this. Let's try her out. Sometimes you come on, wondering what you're doing without me. Used to laugh till we both were half dead. Always knew you could see what I see. Moved through mountains to be there with you. My best friend till the end. And you looked at me and God only knew it was love. Oh, I saw it clear as the night through those brown eyes. And I always knew that you'd never let me down. Don't hold it in tight, 'cause he won't feel the same way. So you will stay at the end of the day. At the end of the day. first time you got drunk was the best. Had me running in circles, just chasing you down, then you rested my head on your chest. I could stay right here till forever. Then you went to grab my hand, looked me straight in the eye, and told me you loved me, kissed my hand up to the sky. Oh, I saw it clear as the night through those brown eyes, and I always knew that you'd never let me down. Hold it in tight, 'cause he won't remember this way. So if he will stay at the end of the day, then he disappeared into thin air. Back and forth with lies like you didn't even care. And you left me alone and I didn't know how to get home. Should have said something right then. Told you just how it felt, see if you felt it too. I can't help but still think about it. Oh, I saw it clear as the night through those brown eyes, and I never knew it'd be you to bring me down. Don't hold it in tight till forever and a day. Just stay far away. So much.
Wow. Oh, another round of applause for Analise, everyone. Oh my gosh, wow. I can't even, that was incredible.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Wow. So that was called at the end of the day, right?
End of the day, yeah.
So
the final track.
It's the final track.
Final track, first song I ever wrote.
First song you ever wrote. Wow.
For this album. Yeah.
Now, I know you said you've had these written down for a while, but was there a specific theme that you wanted to choose from this album? I mean, I know you wrote it during quarantine, but was there a theme that specifically sung to you? Was it love? Was it just all about dreaming? What was?
It kind of just all of the songs represent me as a human being. I mean, I'll go in order. There's first Pathetic Little Dreamer, which is the title song. It pretty much says that, you know, I spend a lot of my time dreaming instead of doing.
Right.
And it's kind of like a, let's go, people, let's pump up the self-confidence. Let's go. And then the second track is Drive. We'll go just off the top of my head. I think it's
So say, Pathetic Little Dreamer.
Pathetic Little Dreamer.
Charlie.
Oh my gosh, Charlie. Let's not forget him. So Charlie was actually the last song I wrote.
Yeah.
And it almost never made the album. And it was actually a switch out song. I had another song in there. And I told Michael, my producer, I was like, I need to put this song in the album. This has to go. And
Oh my gosh.
Okay, great. And Charlie I was watching TV one day and I saw that one of the characters' name was Charlie. And I started writing a song about a fictional guy named Charlie.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of people ask me if he's real. He is not. He's on a television
I wasn't sure if it was a love or something.
No. The third one is I Don't Write Love Songs.
Mm-hmm.
I Don't Write Love Songs is actually my favorite, my
Oh.
second favorite on the album. It's basically like my ode to Meghan Trainor and like Billy Joel vibe of like that 50s feel of songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much a joke about my life that, you know, one day I lost my shoe, I tripped over my own 2 feet.
Oh.
Nobody helped me up. You know, Cinderella had her prince to help her up, and I had
Right.
nobody to help me up. So it's pretty much a joke about my life. Drive is the next track.
Yeah, My Little Boys Drive,
My
7
Little
Days
Boys
Agree.
Drive. That My Little Boys Drive are kind of similar. Drive is about driving away during the pandemic, kind of just escaping. My Little Voice is one of my favorites. It's pretty much about me as a human.
Yeah,
Pretty much the whole vibe of the album is like what makes me me.
I love that.
Seventh Stage of Grief is actually a true story. It's about a moment that I had with a teacher of mine and how that shaped me as an artist and as a human. For sometimes teachers have
Yeah, they
good
can have
effects on
such
you.
an
They can have
impact
an impact of being a dancer in particular. A lot of negativity and thoughts, and that's what that song's about. And then there's End of the Day, which you just heard.
That's amazing. Amazing. Michael, did we lose sound?
Nope, we hear
Are we
you.
good?
Yep.
Okay, it sounds like we're lower. All right. Well, we're going to do that was beautiful. Thank you for explaining each of those. Let's do another trivia. This is going to be for a pair of tickets to Billy Crystal's Mr. Saturday Night. Here's the paper I'll give you when you win, and it has all the information here. You just have to use it by September 4th, so you've got plenty of time. It's any date. And this is for the people here in the audience, because we have quite a few. So, alrighty. What new musical this season has the most Tony Award nominations?
The Strange Loop.
Strange Loop! Yay! Here you go, bud. What's your name? Remember your name again?
Titus.
Titus! Yes, congrats, Titus! Amazing. Titus, that is amazing. Wonderful. Alrighty, we'll do one more for this. Here we go. Alrighty. What is the name of the character in Hamilton in which Jonathan Groff originated?
Oh, I know this.
You can play.
I play.
Yes, of course. If you want to, I never force my guests. If they want to, you're welcome to.
King Henry.
No, not King Henry. No.
Wait. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just lost my mind. I'm thinking this is 6.
King George. Yes.
I'm so
Congratulations.
confident.
That's a
But
totally.
you know what?
There you are.
I'm gonna
What's
give
your name?
myself credit.
Maddox. Congratulations, Maddox. What you say?
I was so confident in that answer.
You were,
I
you
just
were.
failed America with my answer.
It's okay. It's
But
okay.
you know what? That's okay because
You helped.
You did.
Helped.
Yes.
I helped.
Let's give her a applause for
I
Maddox.
got you that.
Maddox and Titus. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. We got more here. We still have Annalise's CD to give away. That's all right. That's all right. You know what? Hey, I like that answer a lot. You're very confident with
You
it.
know
It's all
what? I
right.
was thinking 6.
Listen, this is a Broadway talk show. We're in the creative industry, not in the history
Okay.
industry. I'm not gonna fail you here. You know.
My uncle is a teacher, and I could feel him like cringing.
I love that the audience knew it. I'm so, it's so funny. I do these questions every week, and I feel like, oh, they're so easy, and then sometimes people don't get them, or they're super easy, or then I feel like they're too hard. So I love them. So one of the things I'd love to ask you about, and you touched on it a little bit earlier. We have obviously some kids here and kids who have been on Broadway, and I feel like you're like the OG of kid actors from this generation. You've done so many shows. I feel like now that you're 22, you can talk so well on this. So many kids and their parents want to get an agent so they can obviously be on Broadway and get more acting gigs. And I feel like you have a good understanding of this as a child performer. What would your advice be for the parents and the children on obtaining representation? And if they want to obtain representation, do they necessarily have to be on Broadway or be professional past their local community theater? Do you feel?
I'd say that it has to. Being in this industry is a sacrifice for the entire family, not just you, not just your parents, but it's also a sacrifice for your whole family. I am an only child. So my parents only had me to worry about. That's not the case for everybody. I mean, a lot of times I've been in shows, actually was just scrolling through Instagram today, and the story popped up. When I was in Matilda, this one boy was a swing, Timothy. He was from Kansas, and he auditioned for Matilda, and that day he was hired, and that day he was told, you cannot go home, you have to be on Broadway, you cannot go home until you're finished with your run. And his mom had to go back to Kansas and move all of his things, find an apartment in 24 hours, and he was on Broadway. So stuff like that happens. It happened to the girlfriend my understudy. In 3 days, she was here. Moving from Ohio. It happened to people sitting right here. Yeah, we're from North Carolina. and her whole family. It's a real sacrifice. So if you are up to that journey, we are happy to have you in this community. If you're not up for the journey right now, I'd say let's ride out the journey in your community theaters. Keep it local. There are regional theaters everywhere that are doing productions of Oliver, Annie, Newsies, Seussical.
So many versions.
Plethora of musicals.
So many,
shows.
yeah, so many
Seriously.
musicals. So many,
So many Seussicals. I've been in it 3 times in my community theater. Your high school theaters, school theater is so important when you're younger. Community theater is so important. That's where I got my foundation. I'm also very fortunate that I live 20 minutes away. I grew up 20 minutes away from here. I have friends who came in from Boston and had to, move their whole families. A lot of people have stayed here. A lot of people went back home. And a lot of people decided after they were Broadway kids that they want to do other things, and that is okay. And that is something that not a lot of people talk about. It does not matter that you were a kid on Broadway, and you do not have to be on Broadway as an adult. That's not like the thing that every Broadway kid has to do.
It's true. Well, I think that's such great advice, and I hope all of those who are here and those watching take that, because I think it's really good. And I'm not a performer, and as I say, I hung up my dancing shoes in 2012 after I graduated high school. But I would just say, from what I've seen, I would say parents, it's also important to support your kids and their dreams, and if you can make it happen, great. But always support your kids. I think that's so important, and it's always so great to see when you have supportive parents like yours and like some of the ones here. It's always great. So now, speaking of some of the people we have here, we do have some of the cast of Mrs. Doubtfire, and I say that because you also may know Analise from Mrs. Doubtfire the musical. You recently finished your run in Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway. Now, you were in it since it started in Seattle, correct?
Yes.
So how did this opportunity for Mrs. Doubtfire come about for you? It was, it's such a great show. I saw it twice, and so hysterical. We were joking, we were laughing before it started. We couldn't wait for the album to come out because I saw it the second time around, and I went home I was like, I can't wait to listen to this album. The songs are catchy, and it's not out yet, but it is coming, and it's such a good album. So how did you get started on your journey in Mrs. Doubtfire?
It came to me as a shock, honestly. I was, they had done the reading of it. I didn't even audition for it. And eventually the role of Lydia became available. And I was, as soon as, when I knew that they were auditioning people who were 18 and over, one of my very best friends was at the audition for the reading, and she texted me. She was like, "Hey, are you going in for Doubtfire?" I was like, "No." She was like, "I don't know, I just have a feeling this is your part." And I was like, "Well, it's one of my favorite movies. I don't know why I'm not there, but okay." Months went by, the role became available. And I knew that they were seeing lots and lots of people for a very long time, and I still hadn't gotten in that room. I had gone in for an equity principal audition for another musical that I thought I was really, really right for, and I wasn't sure. I knew I didn't know if I was going to get an appointment or not, so I took that risk and I went to the equity principal audition. Ended up making to the final 5 for that show, and lucky for me, it was the same casting director as Mrs. Doubtfire. And right before my final callback for this other musical, they called me in for Mrs. Doubtfire. And at the time, I was like, okay, I get to meet Jerry's ex today. And that's all I cared about, to be quite honest.
Yes.
And I taught myself What the Hell and Just Pretend, which are 2 out of the 3 songs that I sing in the show. And I did a couple of scenes, and I really was not in there for that long, and the whole team wasn't even there. It was just I was looking at the email the other day, actually, of who was in that room, and it was just only 5 or 6 people, and it was just a camera. And I sang, and I did my songs, and Jerry looked at me and he said, "I love you." And I was like, "Thank you." Okay. And sometimes they say they love you, and you don't really know if they actually mean it or not.
Right.
Really
Saying it, yeah.
Good job, thank you so much for coming, and then you never hear again.
Right.
But
we love you, but don't.
We love you, but don't come back. And I left the room, and they said, "Could you wait outside for a couple minutes?" And I leave the room, and I hear them hysterical laughing. Now I'm thinking, oh crap, did my New York accent slip? Did I do something wrong? I'm thinking all these crazy things. But in actuality, they must have, seen my audition and knew that I was a top contender at the time. And the next day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got a phone call saying I got the role.
I love that. And that phone call showed on you did a beautiful Instagram reel recently. And I guess it was at the phone call that was in it. It was you and your mom, right?
My mom's store. My mom works in a clothing store in Staten Island.
Wow.
And it was actually a debacle of a day because I was getting ready to go to the Jonas Brothers concert that evening, and I was next door to the store getting a manicure. And I keep my phone on silent, and my dad was trying to call because they wanted a recording, but they had no idea what the part was. Because they had no idea, and they wouldn't tell him. My dad was like freaking out. And then my manager at the time called me, and she's like, "Oh, I'm adding in David, your agent, to the phone." Why? Like I never talked to him on the phone. David was like, "Hi, so you're going to be Lydia in Mrs. Doubtfire." And I just, we see it in the video.
Yeah.
I was completely crouched down in hysterics. And I thought she knew because she was recording, but I knew it was something because I saw her with the camera, but I completely lost it. And it was so unexpected. I still don't believe it, to be honest. I don't know.
I
I
know.
don't know how I'm here right now.
Is it not? Well, you're very talented.
It's been a long journey.
I'm sure it has. I mean, this show has been in development for a while, and it went in Seattle, and that's so special that that opportunity. I mean, you never forget things like that.
No, not at all. You never forget your first.
Was it? Were you nervous? Was there some butterflies of taking on this role for the movie that everyone knows and loves, and you're taking on this character now in the movie musical? Was there some nervous to that when you were first starting out?
Kind of. I was more nervous to meet Rob.
Yes, Rob McClure.
Rob McClure, who I had seen videos of Chaplin and all these things, all these amazing things. And I was so nervous. And I met him for the first time, and he just gave me a hug, and he looked at me, and it was kind of like we connected, and then the next day we had Bill Company rehearsal. He was like, you look exactly like my sister. And I was like, I do? And he was like, yeah, I'm half Italian from New Jersey, right? I was like, I just know this information. And we just kind of clicked on that, and I'm very fortunate that to call him my friend, which is very strange to say because when I was 12 years old, I used to just watch videos of him and just admire him from afar.
Oh, well, I mean, I've heard so many incredible, everyone I've talked to who knows him has said those same things. He's just an incredible human being. He played Miss Doubtfire and Daniel, right?
Miller, yeah.
I get everyone's names, but Daniel and Miss Doubtfire, and I don't know how he did that every day, every night. And if you're curious, follow Rob McClure on Instagram. And he's been posting videos since unfortunately the show did close about last week, I think it was, right?
Ago today.
He's been posting videos of some of the backstage stuff. One of them is him getting 45 seconds getting ready into this final scene and running down these steps, and just if you want to see the magic of Broadway, that's a
That
video
is
to watch.
Broadway.
It's insane. It's insane. So we have a few more albums here to give away. So this is going to be again here in person for those. This is going to be an in-person trivia question. All right, so this is for Annalise's album. I love this album so much, so beautiful. What musical was the Tony Award winner for Best Musical last year? What musical won the Tony Award for Best Musical last year in this most recent past Tony Awards? It's a very popular show. Just had a new cast come in about a few weeks ago.
No.
Not Phantom. Moulin Rouge! Yes, congratulations. Yes, Moulin Rouge. It is Moulin Rouge. Amazing. Do we have other people still? All right. We'll do another question for those at home. And this one is, this is going to be for, and now only answer if you can make it because this is until September. We'll do this for a pair of tickets to Mr. Saturday Night. And just find me on Instagram or on YouTube, and I'll send you the link that you just the email. This is for a pair of tickets to Mr. Saturday Night here on Broadway. Again, it's got to be used by September, so if you don't think you'll be in New York before September, I would recommend not answering. Okay, so this is, hopefully you've been paying attention. this is for those at home. Who is the star of Mr. Saturday Night on Broadway? Who is the star of Mr. Saturday Night on Broadway? Hopefully you all paying attention. Who is the star of Mr. Saturday Night on Broadway? If you don't answer here, somebody here is going to get it. What'd you say?
There's the delay, so remember the delay.
There's a delay.
Billy Crystal. Lucy Luke Picks is Billy Crystal.
Lucy what?
Lucy Luke Picks. It says Billy Crystal.
Yes, Billy Crystal. Yes, amazing. Hey, Lucy, please make sure you either send me a message, send Broadway Makers a message so we can get you your tickets. Congratulations, Lucy. Fabulous. I keep forgetting because we also stream live here. It's a 15-second delay. And for those at home watching here, if you want to keep up with me, I'm at Rye_Myers on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook and TikTok, so feel free to tag me as well. So what was your favorite memory of being Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway?
There are so many. It's just 3 years of endless memories. I'll say my one funny one and my one sentimental one.
Yeah.
My funny one is that when we were doing our run in Seattle, I used to dance with the ensemble members, and in this one particular number, which was originally called "You've Created a Monster," I was dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire. So do you know the number that you've been playing with fire?
Yes.
So originally it was called "You've Created a Monster," and myself and the 2 kids and Brad, Oscar, and Jay Harrison G's characters were also in that number dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh my gosh. So many people I really love dressing people as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, so we were all dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire. And at one point the screen split, or the apartment scene split, and there was this huge dance number. So I was in it with all the adults, and I was like, this is awesome. I get to dance like a real Broadway ensemble.
Amazing.
And one day we had these kind of dance shorts that were underneath our Doubtfire bellies. And one day I felt something brush against the side of my leg while I was dancing, and I hear stage management from my left ear, grab it, grab it. And I just threw it across the stage, not thinking anything was wrong. And now I have a 20-second quick change right after that scene, so I came off and doing the change, and I hear the dressers all saying somebody's black shorts fell off, and I was like, oh really, whose was it? They're I think it was a female ensemble member. I'm like, oh cool, and I go upstairs, and my shorts are just staring at me in the face after the show is over, and Charity Dawson says to me, you danced out of your panties. And that will forever be my favorite, and I actually at the theater, I took them home, and they're now in my house.
Oh my God.
I had to keep them. But my sentimental moment is always Just Pretend. Which is going to do at the end of the show at Broadway. I can't wait to hear it on the album.
And when does the album come out?
I don't know.
It was announced. I think it's at Quad, right? Was it announced?
I don't think a day was announced.
I heard it was
Is it this week? Okay.
It is? Oh, great. Good to know.
I know it was announced. I'm sorry. I know I'm your Broadway and Entertainment BFF. I should know this.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know if a date was announced, but I heard that we were hearing about a date, and I don't know.
I think it was.
But it is soon.
It's
For those
soon.
of you wondering, because I get that question almost every single day.
Yeah.
It is soon. I promise you.
Yes.
This is not a lie.
I believe you. I believe there was a date, but when it comes out, I'm very excited for it. So.
Yeah.
So-
Just Pretend is my favorite.
We have one more copy of Annalise's CD, and this is going to be for the people here. Little trivia on Annalise, so hopefully you all were paying attention and listening. Alrighty.
Yes.
What was Annalise's second Broadway musical credit? What was Annalise's second Broadway musical credit?
Yes.
What's your name? Ava, congratulations, Ava. Yay! Congratulations. And that was Matilda. Yes, it was Matilda. It's so amazing. Oh, I love it. It was yes. Oh, you did the first national?
I did for a couple weeks. Yeah.
So okay, I wonder. Because I never got a chance to see it on Broadway, but I saw the national tour in Philly. Okay, November
I
2015.
did.
November 2015.
I did all the southern states because it was February and it was nice and warm down there.
Ah, okay, so I didn't see you.
Conveniently, not conveniently, but somebody was hurt and they called me because the girl who was playing Hortensia at the time was 21, and I was the only person who ever played Hortensia in the entire United States that was old enough to not have a guardian. So I was 16, I was a junior in high school, and I went on tour with my mom, and I was doing SAT prep and physics, and kids were learning their fractions. It was really thrilling.
I was going to say, is when you are a child performer, either on Broadway or on tours, that's sort of how you get your schooling, you have a tutor that...
Yeah, we have set tutors. I was in tutoring almost every day because I was in 8th grade and freshman and sophomore year in high school, so my tutors, actually, it's very interesting. So all of my tutors that I had were all of their tutors.
Wow.
So all of the kids at Doubtfire had all the same tutors that I did. So it was kind of like a full circle moment when I would see them in tutoring, and I would go in and they literally watched me grow up as not only a performer but as a student. And when I told one of my tutors, Irene, she taught me math, and I told her that I graduated summa cum laude, and she was crying.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. So, with the album, I know obviously you just finished Doubtfire and your album was, but do you have any upcoming shows with the album, or do you have any plans to do a 54 Below? Or
There's something in the works.
something in the works?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And I'm sure obviously there'll be more music coming as well.
I hope so. I mean, I have a bunch of songs that I've written,
Mhm.
all the 30 that have been in my drawer for 2 years, so
Wow.
I have the chunk songs.
I love that. I love that. Well, as we finish here, what would be your parting advice that you would give to aspiring performers who want to do what you do? They want to release either their own music or they want to be on Broadway. Somebody who has done it all and just 22. What would your advice be for them?
I say this a lot, but it's always important to be yourself. But what's even more important than that is to not put yourself in a box. For years, I talk about this with one of my voice teachers that I had at school. He said to me, before I graduated, he said, when you were a freshman, you never wanted to sing pop music. You were always like, I never want to write my own stuff because I can't. He was like, I want to be on Broadway. That's it. Like, you wanted to be on Broadway, and I agree. I wanted to be on Broadway, and I felt like for me, writing, everybody would be like, please write, please write, please write. And I did a little bit, but then I stopped because I was like, I need to focus on this one thing. It's not correct. Like, it's not. Like, I wish that I had written sooner.
Yeah.
If I could go back again and do it all over, I would write throughout the time that I was in college. Because, you know, who knows what kind of music I would have put out there? Who knows what kind of things I would have done since then? And now I love singing pop music, and I feel like I found my voice, and I found like who I am as an artist through my own music, but also singing artists like Sarah Bareilles, and you know, and I look at Sarah Bareilles, and she's like, I worship the ground that woman walks on, because she pretty much does it all.
Well,
She's
I was going to
producing
say,
a television show.
you have a beautiful, I mean, I was listening to you, and you do have a very similar sounding voice.
Thank you.
And I say that as such a compliment.
Thank
Not,
you.
I mean,
No, I
it's like I was listening to Sarah almost, really,
I love
seriously.
her so much. And
Yeah.
she's one of my, I mean, she is my idol. She does it all. She, you know, she's a producer. She's a writer. She performs like a boss. Like, come on. I mean, I cannot wait to see her in Into the Woods. And just to like watch her sing Sondheim. And like somebody who could sing Sondheim like that.
Yeah.
And also write one of the most like just beautiful music, and also be on TV, and also produce, and also do. So I aspire, when I grow up, I want to be like a version of what she does.
Well,
Which is a lot, which is all.
Well, and you can do it all. You've already started to do it all, and you will do it all. Well, Analise, thank you so much for everything, for being on my show, for being such a great guest. Let's give a round of applause for Analise. Saturday night. Thank you, everyone. Before we go, I have one final pair of tickets, and I'm not going to give you a question. I'm going to give them to your lovely parents. I'm sure they'd love to do it.
My dad loves doing
I
your stuff.
will see you all next week. Have a wonderful night.
Where can you see Broadway's brightest live? Why spend Thursday nights drunk in a dive? Where can you see Broadway's brightest live? Why spend Thursday nights drunk in a dive? They're friends with